so many reasons why I could walk away, protect my own heart so that I stay safe. But when I look into your eyes, I know why I stay. And I'll stay with you when the night gets too dark. And I'll stay with you when you can't lift your arms. I'll hold you up. I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you.
Hello, hello, hello. Okay, let's start off with our fair use warning. Everything is for education and, you know, we're learning. All right. So, thought one of the kids was laying in the street out there. Not my kids. Not my kids. Neighbor kids. So, trigger warning. Okay, first off, I know this news is 2 weeks old. I know this, but I don't know the story. I've heard little bits and pieces of it, and I wanted to know more. And I thought there might be other people out there that also didn't know the whole story and would like to know. I don't have a burn or anything over here. What is going on? Why does that look red? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not red or anything. So, I don't know. Maybe the cat was up there a little while ago. I don't know. But, so, trigger warning. This is a very sensitive subject. You're going to see some graphic details that might just make you want to lose your dinner. Sorry. The clips that I've seen during research, they blurred out the worst of it. I'll tell you that much. But the story is just so sad. So sad. Okay, so the links are in the description for every one of these clips. And I need to put some sound in here behind this. Oh, I already did that part. There's a banner going. I think 14 is good. Okay, we'll go back to comments. All right, so credit to News Nation. And let's share screen. I don't know what happened to that. All right. Let me enlarge this so you can see what's going on. It said 3 kids found abandoned in pile of garbage. Michigan mom arrested. Banfield. And this is from News Nation. And yes, it is 2 weeks ago. Okay, let me scroll it back down, hit play.
When a big city sheriff says he's never seen a scenario so dire, one that would be deplorable and intolerable even for an animal, You better brace yourself. And I'll say that again in case you think I'm exaggerating. Brace yourself. This is a bad one. The pictures deserve a graphic warning. This story came to light at the end of last week in a Detroit suburb of Pontiac, Michigan. Oakland County Sheriff's deputies found 3 children in this house in these conditions. A 15-year-old boy and 2 girls aged 12 and 13. Their mother had left them in that home to fend for themselves almost 5 years ago. Do the math. They would have been 10, 8, and 7. That fact alone is mind-boggling, but so is this. They existed on weekly drop-offs of food from Instacart and DoorDash. But towards the end of that 5-year ordeal, the food that was dropped off ended up being a loaf of bread. Obviously, somebody also was paying the rent on that house until they stopped. That happened last October. And it was therefore the landlord who called the sheriff's office for a welfare check. By then, of course, those children's welfare was all but non-existent. Their house was overrun with garbage and feces and mold. Their clothes were...
That is just outright awful. I cannot imagine anybody leaving their children to have to live like that. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to let it play a little bit more. The pictures are just horrible.
Were filthy. Their hair was matted. And just so you know the extent of the neglect, their toenails were so long they could barely walk. Their last delivery of anything related to personal hygiene was a half-decade ago and was only a box of trash bags, some gloves, and a can of air freshener. 5 years ago. They hadn't been to school since 2020, and the 2 girls apparently hadn't been outside that house in years. Tonight, the children's 34-year-old mother is in custody, as she should be. But it begs the question, where was everybody else? Where was the father? Where were the schools? What about the neighbors? How could this nightmare have gone on for so long? Joining me now is the Oakland County Sheriff, Michael Bouchard. Sheriff, thank you so much for being here. I literally can't even believe, as I read those details again, that I'm reading fact. How are the children right now, and where are they?
So we took them immediately out of the home once we discovered them, took them to medical care, and then involved our Child Protective Services. And they have been placed temporarily with relatives that were unaware of what was going on. And we have a lot more scheduled for them this week. We've got a much more detailed health and mental health examination of them. We've already done.
That's just so sad. I mean, I don't know what else to say except how. How? Now, before I go further, I got a message last night on one of my videos. Somebody said that they were reporting me to YouTube for criticizing somebody for a tattoo that they have, which I wasn't criticizing. I was just stating that it looks like it's upside down. Then I got another message from the same person on another video that said they were going to report me to YouTube and call law enforcement to come to my house because I was up on somebody's panel and they said that I had given false information about the person that the panel, the the channel was talking about. First off, I didn't give any information on that story. The only thing I did was ask questions. So, well, law enforcement never came to my house. And my response to them was, thank you for watching my video. Yeah. So, yeah. I appreciate you watching. If you want to give bad comments, that's fine with me. You're not going to hurt my feelings because I know that I do everything I can to not try to misrepresent what I'm trying to talk about. So let's go back to the story. I just want to throw that little piece of fun in there. Hello, whoever's in my chat, please hit the thumbs up. Even if you want to speak, I appreciate it. If you don't want to speak, well, that's your choice.
A kind of a psychological question kind of thing with a care house, kid gloves treatment to try to figure out what they're feeling, what they know, things like that. Thankfully, they're responding very well. Our detectives said when they saw them at the care house interview that they were chatty. And obviously, when we first encountered them, it was nothing like that. The girls were actually hiding in a locked bathroom.
How is their development, given the fact that this is almost half their life? They've lived alone as young children with no adult care. I mean, and just no love.
Yeah, it's horrendous. It's really difficult to wrap your head around this case. I've been in this business a very long time and seen horrific things, horrific murders, horrific child abuse. But this is a terrible one that was magnified by how long it went on over the period of years to not have an adult or any love or any structure, any education, none of that. And so, it's just really difficult to wrap your head around. But we're doing everything we can to set them up on a better path. The community has responded and filled our sheriff's office with clothing for them.
Wonder if they even had TV or books to read or anything. Or did they have to just sit in that house and do nothing?
And they're making donations. We're going to set us to try to get them, a fund for their health, both physical and mental health, and maybe some educational funds set aside for them.
Sheriff, the obvious question is, you've arrested the mother. I understand you can't reveal her name because she shares a last name with these children. What is her response? Is she talking? Why on earth would anyone do this?
Yeah, she's been talking to our investigators, but so far no reason for this. And it's one of those things. How do you even come up with a reason for this? When you watch the television ads showing dogs and cats in a deplorable condition that evoke that heartstring where you want to contribute to them, imagine that times 10, and then do it over a period of years to children. So it's really difficult to kind of wrap your arms around this. But we're going to do everything we can to wrap our arms around those kids and to make sure, quite frankly, that this mother is held accountable.
I'm sorry, that's the worst of the images that you'll see. You'll see the same images, but they'll be blurred out. And then next we're going to go to Associated Press News. Okay, let's share the screen. Okay. Michigan woman charged with abuse after 3 children left alone for years in revolting squalor. That's an understatement. Oh, good gracious. This is the image that was on the thumbnail. That's a cease and desist from all utilities or anything any services being at that home from law enforcement. Another image. It looks like shotgun apartments or something. Like, I don't know. Kind of like college dorms or something. I don't know. A sign from the city of Pontiac, Michigan is stuck to a window at 660 Lydia along a row of homes in the 600 block of Lydia, Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Oh, I'm sorry. This story's 3 weeks old. Where a mother who allegedly left her 3 children alone living in squalor in the home has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse. Andy Morrison, Detroit News via Associated Press. A Michigan woman accused of leaving 3 children to live alone for years in a house teeming with trash and feces was charged Wednesday with child abuse, 5 days after police opened the door and discovered stomach-turning filth. These 3 kids were entrusted to the care of their mother, and the evidence suggests that she effectively abandoned them to a revolting pit of the refuse and squalor, said Karen McDonald, the Oakland County prosecutor in suburban Detroit. What stands out the most for me is no love. These children didn't have any love. McDonald said McDonald said later during a news conference, there was nobody there to care for them. The 34-year-old mother was in custody and waiting a court hearing scheduled for Thursday. The siblings, a 15-year-old boy and 2 girls ages 12 and 13, were hiding when police entered the Pontiac home from Friday after a call from the landlord who had not been paid rent since October. Police were astonished to find anyone in the location because it appeared to be uninhabitable with piles of garbage and refuse several feet high, McDonald said, noting that the toilet was not working. The children were covered with feces and the girls had trouble walking outside the home, she said. At a hospital, they struggled with flushing a toilet and brushing their teeth because they had not done it in years, the prosecutor added. McDonald said the children likely had been alone since 2020 or 2021, communicating with their mother only through text messages when they needed food. She was living elsewhere in Pontiac, 20 miles, about 30 kilometers north of Detroit. Oh my gosh. Ouch. That counts. Foot cramp. Okay, that's the end of that one. That is just so sad. It's just so sad. Like I said, I'll say again, trigger warning. Okay, let's take this one off. This one's credit to CNN News. Well, actually CNN US. Sheriff said 3 kids found basically abandoned for years at suburban Detroit home. There's the sheriff doing a press conference. Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard speaks during a news conference in Pontiac, Michigan on February 1st, 2018. 2018? Oh my goodness, this story is old. I'm so sorry. I meant no disrespect. I did not mean in any way to mislead anybody. I just heard about this story. That might be a typo. Donations of clothes and money are pouring in for the 3 children who were basically abandoned by their mother for years, living alone in a suburban Detroit home among trash and feces, the sheriff said today. You wouldn't do this to an animal, let alone your child, Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard said. Bouchard said the mother would occasionally leave food on the porch at the Pontiac home, but lived elsewhere and had little contact with the children. A 15-year-old boy and 2 girls ages 13 and 12. She's now in jail while prosecutors consider filing charges. I hope they did. Seriously, she needs to be put under the jail. Police found the children Friday after landlord said the mother was behind in paying rent and wondered if there was a problem at the house. The scene was so extreme that investigators wore hazmat suits. Oh my goodness. Trash was piled in some places 3 and 4 foot high. Everything was covered with feces and trash, Bouchard said. The toilet had become non-functional. That's the kind of situation these poor kids had been living in for years, not just hours or days, for years. The boy indicated that he had left the house only 2 times. Just a moment, please. Here's my... I apologize greatly for that. My husband is an over-the-road truck driver, and he was calling me to tell me his shift was ended for the day and he was going to bed. I don't know where he's at. He told me, but I forgot. I think he's up in Detroit, actually. No, he was going to South Dakota. He's got 92 miles to get to his drop-off place. So I don't know exactly where he's at. He's 92 miles from someplace in South Dakota. We'll go there. The boy indicated that he'd left the house only 2 times, once because he wanted to feel the grass, which by itself is heartbreaking, the sheriff said. Bouchard said they were basically abandoned and afraid to leave. He said the children might have been living alone for more than 4 years, Bouchard said. The mother and delivery business would drop off food through drivers apparently were not aware there were children inside. The father lost contact with the kids while in prison, as was barred by their mother from seeing them when he was released, the sheriff said. After just a few days, the children are making great progress with medical exams, fresh clothes, and help with hygiene, Bouchard said. That's good news. All right, this one is from MSN Court TV. And like I said, the links are in the description. Okay. Now this is Benny Politan. He is really good on Court TV. By the grace of God, it's an understatement. I mean, God and his angels had to be working overtime to keep these kids alive and say and as healthy as he could, as healthy as possible. Because their mama sure wasn't doing it. You know what's sad? I know she's probably going to spend a long time in prison. But what is very sad is if these 3 children were to walk past her on the street, they wouldn't know who their mother was unless they were video chatting. But he said they were text messaging. So they hadn't even heard their mother's voice in years. I couldn't imagine leaving a 7 or 8-year-old child, let alone my 17-year-old child. I couldn't imagine leaving him alone. I dread the day he graduates high school and moves out on his own. What you're fixing to hear from him is so refreshing. It is. I would sign the petition if there was a petition. It needs to be in every state what he's wanting to get done. Do you have any comments? Oops, sorry. Do you have any comments? Leave them down below and click that thumbs up, please. It helps to get the algorithms out. Okay, next we are going, oh, let's turn this off. Next, we're going to go back to CNN. Yeah, I know. I pushed the wrong button. It says, judge sets $250 million bond for Michigan mom accused of keeping 3 kids alone in squalor. It's a 2-minute, it was published February 20th, 2025. So yeah, this is, part of it's 2 weeks old, so I didn't actually mislead. This is the front of the house. We've all seen it. A sign from the city Pontiac placed in the window along the row of homes where a mother allegedly left her 3 children alone to living in squalor, by Andy Morrison, Detroit News, AP. Pontiac, Michigan, AP, which is Associated Press. A judge set a $250 million bond Thursday for a Michigan woman who is accused of leaving 3 children alone for years in a house where conditions were so offensive that police evidence technicians wore hazmat suits. Kelly Bryant, 34, shook her head at times during her first court appearance on child abuse charges in Oakland County. Her lawyer entered a not guilty plea on her behalf. What? 3 children aged 15, 13, and 12 were removed last week from a house in Pontiac where they had lived on their own since 2020 or 2021 amid trash and feces and occasional food drops on the porch, police said. Defense attorney Cecilia Quadrandongo, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, I'm sure I did. Banso, sorry if I really butchered your name, acknowledged the very serious case, but she said Bryant was not a risk to the community and could be released from jail with an electronic monitoring device. I don't think so. Judge Rhonda Folks Gross, however, set extraordinary cash bond and said Bryant was an acute risk to the public. The children were hiding when police entered the home Friday after a call from the landlord who had not been paid since October. Authorities said the toilet didn't work and the feces were found in the tub and other places. Bryant was living elsewhere in Pontiac. There's a multiple of reasons why they didn't leave the home, prosecutor Karen McDonald said of the siblings. We just don't know that yet. Can you imagine? I'm sorry, guys. I mean, yeah, stories have to be told, but yeah. This is a very sad one, and I'm really sorry. I hope not to trigger anything to anybody. I hope, but yeah, this is upsetting. This next one is from Court TV also, and Microsoft News. So, and Bing videos. So let's listen to what this one says.
Trending in true crime, a neighbor speaking out that he did speak to the children left to fend for themselves in that Michigan house of horrors. He lives 2 doors down from the home where those 3 kids were found living in squalor. Look at these pictures. We had to blur some of them. It's so unsightly. Trash, human waste all over the place in this house. Their mother, Kelly Bryant, is behind bars this morning. She's being held on $250 million bond. Good. The neighbor revealed how he communicated with the kids. Take a listen.
They say, hey, nice car. But, you know, and I might wave back at them, but that's it. There's no way that I could have known that they were in a terrible situation.
He also said he'd see the mom outside the house with some of her friends. So this morning, we're asking, why didn't anybody look inside of that home? Let's bring in our guest now, former homicide prosecutor and the co-host of the True Crime Show Mondays with Melba on MTN. Melba Pearson is here, and want to welcome in attorney and former prosecutor Randolph Rice. Good morning to you both. So let's talk about nobody going in. We see a nice neighbor guy, you know, waving to the kids, hey, what's up, but never really going beyond that. Not his fault, not his kids, but nobody, no family, no one connected to the kids in any way is looking inside. Melba, your thoughts on this, please?
Well, good morning, Julie and Randolph. And yes, this is pretty disturbing, but I don't think it's that unusual because people tend to want to mind their own business, right? If you're not invited to someone's house, you're not going to necessarily walk up to the front door and start peering in the windows because, of course, that's something that could attract the attention of law enforcement thinking that you're trying to break in or something along those lines. So they probably just, you know, well, the kids are waving, they're speaking, from a distance, they seem fine, and they left well enough alone. However, it is very interesting to note that the biological father of the kids, as well as I believe the grandfather, kept trying to reach out to this defendant, wanting to have contact with the kids, and she kept saying no, no, no. So I don't know why they didn't go to the front door or, you know, look around the windows, because they would have more of a legal right since they are biologically related to those children. And I'm pretty sure that they wish they had done that a whole lot sooner.
Yeah.
Well, it's possible that they didn't know the address where the children were at. I guess on their behalf, I would say. The father and grandfather didn't know where the children were being kept.
Yes, Melba, agreed. Randolph, your thoughts on this, please.
I think Melba makes all the points that I was actually going to make. So good job, Melba, this morning. But I really think about these kids. I mean, these poor children who have really missed out on, and what it sounds like, a big chunk of that developmental period of their life. You know, there's a 15-year-old who certainly could have had so much opportunity in the past couple of years to do all the things that 15-year-olds got to do. And it sounds like the mother had them literally caged in this house, you know, taking food deliveries. And that was the only option. At one point, I heard that they were getting one loaf of bread that was supposed to last them 3 or 4 days. I mean, that's just horrible to do to your own children. There's certainly a mental health component here for the mother. I'm interested to see how this case plays out, but it really is just a deplorable situation.
It really is. You're so right, Randolph. You know, family members are speaking out. They're saying that.
Hello, Jamie May. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, this story is heart-wrenching. It is a very bad trigger warning.
That Ms. Kelly Bryant lied to them. There's a shocker about who was taking care of the kids. Let's take a look.
It just hurt because it's not the fact that she had to take them to that. Why would she do that and that wasn't the situation?
How are you guys coping with that?
I mean, it's sickening because it was like we wasn't running from the situation. We always asked about them. They doing all right, but it's a lot of scar there. It's a lot of scar.
Brian's former sister-in-law says that Kelly Bryant was very close to her family. So
Jamie said, what is this about? Okay. Apparently, this woman right down here behind where it says Court TV, this woman right here left her children alone in a house for 5 years with no adult supervision. They didn't know how to clean themselves. They didn't know how to brush their teeth. They had a television that they could watch. And she would just have food deliveries dropped off on the front porch like once or twice a week. And she stopped paying the rent back in October. So in February, the landlord contacted the police and asked the police to go do a welfare check on her. The landlord didn't know the children were there. And when the police got there, the trash and the feces were in some areas of the house. The toilet had quit working long ago. They began using the bathtub as a toilet, and they would just use a corner or whatever, and they didn't have a way to throw the trash away in the house or nothing, so it just piled up all over the house. They didn't have clean clothes. Their toenails were so long that when they brought the girls out of the house, they could barely walk. And they took them to the hospital for a couple days of care and hygiene, teaching, and things like that. And the children are currently with undisclosed family in an undisclosed location being taken care of. And the mother is currently awaiting, I'm going to say jury trial, because I don't know the answer to that, but she is waiting court, and she's on a $250 million bond. Their father had been in prison for a time, and when he got out of prison, he wanted to see his children, and so did the grandfather. Oh, so do I. I had heard about this one a couple of weeks ago, but I hadn't investigated it. So today I wanted to learn more about it. So anyway, after back and forth with the court, finally the father was allowed visitation, but the mother would not follow through with it. So the father hasn't seen the children in years, or the grandparents. So, yeah, that's what we're listening about right now.
Makes us wonder, how does a close family end up like this? If they're close, you would think they'd be going over each other's houses, right? Seeing each other's kids. I mean, even sending a picture of the kids. I mean, the state that these children were in, investigators said they had trouble walking because their toenails were so long. They gave them a toothbrush and toothpaste, and they didn't know what to do with it because they hadn't learned how to brush their teeth. They didn't learn how to flush a toilet. This is a woman close with her family, and the family has no idea.
Thank you for asking.
Randolph, what do you think about this, please?
Well, we often see this with family members that once something bad happens, they sort of circle the wagons and start defending even the horrible behavior of their family members because it is family. You know, we always go to defend our family because those are the people that we count on, we trust, that are closest to us. I think that they were all so duped by her behavior, by Ms. Bryant's behavior, that maybe they're in shock at this point in time and they can't even believe how bad it is. But once this case comes out, once the facts come out, I would bet they're going to be singing a different tune.
Right, Randolph. You know, and Melba, I want to go back to a point you made earlier. It kind of got me thinking when you were saying how some of these family members were trying to reach out, right? And they're also, well, we tried, she wouldn't let us. Of course, she looks terrible right now. She's the bad guy in the media. Everybody's talking about this story, but it kind of makes me think, you know, why didn't Dad want to put eyes on them at the very least? Say, well, show me a picture. I want to make sure the kids are alive and well and okay. You know, it kind of makes you wonder, how did they accept this behavior or not, you know, force it with a court of law, force it with a police welfare check, something. Your thoughts on that, please, Melba?
Well, unfortunately, I think hindsight is 2020. And I think that he truly wanted to believe, and there was no universe where he would have thought his children were in that condition. And he was just taking his ex at her word that.
I agree. I mean, in what universe would you think your children would be in that position? I don't know.
Hey, the kids are fine, everything's great, they're going to school or whatever the case may be. I don't know how close in proximity and distance they were. So was he on the other side of town and working a lot and really wasn't able to pop by? I think there might have been a million reasons why he may not have gone over there. But I think the elemental thing is the relationship ended probably not very well. And if she's saying, listen, you can't see the kids, but trust me, they're doing well. I can only surmise maybe there were financial issues. Maybe he didn't have the ability to get an attorney and try to, bring in child protective services. But again, if he doesn't know the scope of how bad the problem is, how is he to act? So, I think there was a desire to want to believe her, and there may have been just practical reasons why he wasn't able to get over there, possibly. I don't know.
Sure. No, but thank you for the insight and the discussion. I know we're not done with this case.
Like I said, he probably didn't know where to go look for his children. If she didn't tell him where. All right, okay. This next one is from this is just from Bing.com. I know a lot of people don't. Bing is just a search engine, but somehow they're responsible for this news story. Here's another. Let me bring it up on screen.
Trash piled 3 to 4 feet high, mold, human waste, the toilet overflowing, the bathtub filled with feces. 3 children living alone in these deplorable conditions since 2021. According to authorities, their mother had abandoned them. Prepared food dropped off once a week on the front porch.
That's horrific. It really is. It's not just the material neglect and the health neglects, but it's the emotional and psychological abuse that this entails.
The kids were discovered Friday in the Lydia Lane condominium during a welfare check. The landlord called police because he hadn't heard from the mother since December. Pontiac Mayor Tim Grimal telling Fox 2 the landlord is partially at fault because he didn't register the property as a rental property with the city.
And if it had been registered as a rental,
Jamie May said, well, it's funny. I don't see anybody else in here but me. I usually don't have a lot of people in here. Actually, I don't know if you follow Clutch Them Pearls, but Justin's live right now. So that's probably why. And my daughter has been out shopping, and her husband's home. So she's not usually in here on the weekends. And my son is doing his own YouTube live on his channel. So I usually don't have a lot of people in here. People subscribed, and I appreciate that. I'm grateful for that. But I guess I just don't know the kind of stories that people want to watch. If I'm not doing this, like tomorrow, I'll be critiquing a thrifting video from about a year ago, because tomorrow I'm actually going to put out a thrifting video, which I don't put out thrifting videos every day because it's too expensive to go thrifting every day. So I'll go one day and thrift 2 or 3 stores, and then I'll get a couple of videos for the week. and post a couple of thrifting videos a week. And on those days, I don't do true crime. I critique a thrifting video, and people are able to purchase right off my thrifting videos. So that would be why. All right, let's go back and
property, then we would have been doing periodic rental unit inspections of the property.
Thank you for
every 3
asking.
years.
The children, ages 15, 13, and 12, were treated at an area hospital and are now staying with family in an undisclosed location. Their mother arrested in custody at the Oakland County Jail.
It's just heartbreaking to think that someone would do that to the children.
Linda Kissy and her daughter Jackie joining others, dropping off things at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office for the kids.
I brought toiletries, soap, feminine products, and shampoo and conditioner and lotion.
Things the children didn't have while living in this house of horrors.
It's just terrible. I can't imagine that. I'm a nurse, so I've seen some things, but never something like that.
So, yeah, the state or the city of Michigan really pulled together and brought in donations to the sheriff's department. They've switched it to only being on, if you go to Detroit, Michigan, or something. I forget the county that they're in, but the Michigan website. If you follow back and go back and replay the video, it tells in the beginning which websites. Where the sheriff's department's got a GoFundMe type thing, and all the money's going into a trust fund, and they've got an attorney that is handling the kids' money pro bono, so that some family member doesn't just come in and say, I'll take the kids, and then try to take all the money away from the kids. The money is allocated for their health care and their mental health care and their education and that sort of stuff. So I think that's really good. And so basically I have nothing more. We're at the 1 hour mark. We have 2 people in here now. Please hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. And if you could please, if you like my content, I appreciate if you could join my channel. And thank you for being here. Like I said, tomorrow night I'm going to do a critique video from a previous thrifting. And I'm going to put out a thrifting video earlier afternoon, and at 6 o'clock I'll do a critique video. So thank you for being here. Do something nice for someone, even if it's just be the reason they smile today. And get Locker. It was good to meet you, Jamie May. Thank you.